As we start Visual Studio 2019, the first thing we want to do is create a new project. And we are using Visual Studio for C#, and so we want to use the Windows Forms app, C#, and lower right we want to select Next. And this says configure your project. So basically it gives us a project name by default. It simply adds one each time. It tells us the location in which we're storing our project, our solution name, and the framework in which we're using. And so we simply say create. One of the nice things about Visual C# is we can actually use some of the built-in controls that are in the .NET framework in order to build nice GUIs. So we have a repertoire of toolboxes that appear over here in the left. So you see the toolboxes, and we look at common controls. Okay, and this is what we have access to here. So this is the toolbox window. This is the form window. We have a solutions Explorer here that lists where our files are. You'll see it says form1.cs, and also our properties window down here on the right. So all of these things you'll want to keep open most of the time. If something is missing, then you want to go to View and simply select the right window that you're looking for. Okay, so what we're going to do today is this is a form. Its name is Form. Over here on the right hand side, I'm in the properties. When you select the form, you have access to the properties. So the text now says Form 1. I'm going to change that to my first program. And you notice as I changed that text, it also changed it in my form. So just telling it what the name of my program is. One of the nice things we can do again is add controls. So I want to add a button. So I'm going to double click on the button, and I can increase the size of the button here. It's called button 1 by default. We have text here on the right hand side. It's called button 1. If you look at the name, it is button 1. Right here, this is the official name, and then the text is what values are stored on that button. That's the actual text that appears there. So I'm going to go over here and change the text to say click button 1. Okay, and I'm going to add 2 more buttons. So here's our button 2, and I'll simply drag that over as before. We can increase the size of that. Again, it's called button 2. The text, I'm going to change that also to click button 2. And I'm going to add one more. This is not quite wide enough, so let's increase the size of our button. And we'll add one more button. So right now I have very easily created a nice GUI with 3 buttons. Button 1, 2, and 3. And I've changed the text on the button. So now we're going to say, we want this to say click button 3. Okay, so right now we have 3, and we can line this up again by changing the size handles. So 3 buttons, very, very nice. If we were to run this program, we choose Start. And you can see the difference in the look and feel when you run the program. Now it has 3 buttons, 1, 2, and 3, just as we have. If we click on the buttons, nothing will happen. There's no functionality added to the buttons at this point. So what we want to do is we want to change that. So to change that, we create an event handler for each button, which means the event handler responds. It's a method that responds when we click the particular button. So to do that, simply double click on button 1. This is an event handler, and we want to add some code in here. There is built-in code messagebox.show, and it will print a message for us. Oops. That's messagebox.show. We have a nice, we have too much help here. Let's go back. Messagebox.show. Okay, and we're going to say button 1 was clicked. Okay, and the end of this. So this is an actual C# language. The name of the method is messagebox.show. What appears in quotes is what will appear when we click the button. And now we simply run this. Now when I click button 1, we get a nice dialog box here that says button 1 was clicked. And we can go back and add one for each one of these buttons. So here we have our button 1, button 2, so we'll add the same thing here, and it just simply tells us which button was clicked. Okay, this is button 2 was clicked. Okay, and now we'll go back and we'll run this again. That creates functionality for the second one. It does that, and so we'll just go back and add one for the previous one. Okay, so now as we do this, you see very easily we can create a nice GUI, and here's our third one. So we want to again say button 3 was clicked. So very quickly we can get some nice functionality to what we're doing. To save the program, it's always File, Save, All. Saves the program. We'll run it one last time. And this allows us to create the 3 buttons again. We do have functionality for all of them when we click the buttons. We'll click here, button 2. So now we have buttons. And so as we continue throughout the chapter in chapter 2 and beyond, you'll be adding new controls to your forms, including labels, which allow us to do text, and also text box, groups, and so forth. So this is just a short demonstration of how to create a very short GUI application with 3 buttons.